Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? There's a lot of different options at quarterback that people are throwing out for the Saints. One that I heard recently was sign a veteran like Teddy Bridgewater, maybe it's like a one-year stopgap, and use your first-round pick on a quarterback like, say, Matt Corral at 18 overall. What do you think about that option in New Orleans?
I like it, especially, here's Corral, who maybe isn't ready to be turn a franchise around yet, but active, well-coached, been through his difficult times early in college, and boom, has overcome it to be a dual threat. He's a dual threat quarterback who's a better thrower than Taysom Hill, and who is tough as hell and would fit in doing some of the stuff. I know Sean's not there, but if they carry on similar system to be able to get you at different launch points. I don't know who's going to be the best quarterback in this draft, because I don't think right off the bat, Matty, that there is a franchise changer. I think, there's now 3 years from now, one of these guys could be off the charts. I remember some of the lingo about Justin Herbert, even though he was the sixth pick coming out, there were experts that were saying, well, not ready, needs to stay close to home. There's a lot of people who weren't sold that, well, hence why Tua was drafted ahead of him. Mm-hmm. He had to do it over again. Well, we know what that answer would be. So one of these guys or two of them may turn out to be great. I think Matt Corral is a fairly safe pick because he's tough and smart, and I like it, but I don't think you're ready to turn it over to him yet. Bridgewater's had his best times. He had some good times in Minnesota, some good times in Denver. He had his best times in New Orleans for that run. He did. He's smart, high football IQ, not going to load him up and he can't carry you, but he's perfect. And when you know the verbiage of what you're trying to get done, I think it's a good one, especially in this draft. Like I said, there's not one you say, I got to have him. Now there may be 3 or 4 picked in the first round, but that guy that you're talking about, Trevor Lawrence, verbiage and the thought process, at least going into it, he's not in this draft, at least on the pre-part of it. Now, we'll see 2 years from now what team you go to. So I like that because I'm not sure you feel Taysom Hill, I need him back doing what he does. Because he's not going to kill you throwing the football, but he can kill you in other ways. And, he's not a bad thrower of it, but you need a pure quarterback. And Bridgewater, I don't mind a stopgap, especially when you're a team that's $8 million. I mean, $80 million. I'm kidding when I say $8 billion over the cap, right? You got what are they between 70 and 80, like that, right? You're right, Matty.
It's somewhere in this. I think it's up. It's
high
in the
70s,
60,
mid 70s, yeah, somewhere in there. So
the problem is we don't even know the number. It's so damn high. That's
right.
The problem.
That's exactly right. Once it gets above like 30 or 40, you're like in no man's land. So here we go. And so I don't know. The key though here is in the South is going to be with Brady out. Carolina not very good. Matt Ryan's aging, but still capable, but they're still working on it. The Saints with new coach and, another new quarterback situation possibly. So, yeah, I mean, it's up for the taking, but I don't think we look at it right now and say the Saints are a Super Bowl team right today. Now, their defense is nasty. So, Teddy can, when you play good defense, run the football, and have some weapons, Teddy Bridgewater's a damn good player and a good teacher for a Matt Corral that's there, and Matt Corral's got some explosive ability. So, yeah, I do like it. And then you got to say, well, okay, what else would I get in on? Think about what it's going to cost you to go get Rodgers, or what it would take to go get Wilson, or how you'd have to get into the fray. Now, listen, if you get Deshaun Watson, but you're going to give up a lot, and he brings a lot of cash to the table, and they're still unsettled. So, Bridgewater, easier to get, and Matt Corral may be sitting there for you in the draft. I get it. I do, especially if you're trying to find out and you let your franchise guy, if you think Corral's got some of that in him, but kind of like the Trey Lance situation. Give me a veteran who can get it done, and he's not ready to play yet, but will be. And that may be the same with Corral for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. And he's familiar, and familiar matters to some.
Hey, Sean, have you given any thought to what Jameis Winston might command on the market?
Desperate teams, he's probably going to make more than maybe you'd have thought coming out when he left Tampa and came to New Orleans. I think that a lot of us, I included, would have liked to seen a full season of it, right, Matt, in New Orleans. I would have.
The Saints would too.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a full season of it. It made me feel more comfortable on two fronts. One is, and maybe Sean would have opened it up more as the season continued to go on. I would have loved to have seen that because I do think that we talked about this ad nauseum in the fall, but about a little overly protective of a guy who lives vertical passing game and taking chances. I don't want a coach taking chances out of a guy. I just want a coach making stupid decisions when you take chances that aren't feasible there. And Jameis looked like he was starting to buy into that, and maybe it was going to convince Sean to expand. There's more expansion the Saints have with Jameis Winston if they want it. But in the process, you don't want to lose dude, we got a good defense, don't throw it to the other team. So it's a fine line and a slippery slope. Listen, going out on the open market, there's going to be somebody that you think, okay, if somebody doesn't, Watson, somebody's going to trade for him. And I start to look around and say, okay, if you get rid of somebody or he goes somewhere, where are the openings and where are the commitments? Listen, man, if you're paying some of these guys that are $15 million that are not as good as talented as Jameis Winston, if somebody's willing to take a flyer and believes that Sean's impact helped him protect the ball more, but didn't coach aggressiveness out of him to a point, I don't see why. Let's say Carolina couldn't get, and I don't know if they're in the division, but I don't know if. Let's say Carolina couldn't get Deshaun Watson or didn't get a guy they wanted. I mean, there's an option that you can pile up yards and he gives you chances. Or somewhere else that maybe, I don't know. Does Brian Dable think he can coach him up with the Giants? But there's going to be enough of a market to get him to a pay raise if that's what he wants, and to move somewhere else. And what's this? Is he unrestricted, Matty, free agent?
Yeah, he is. He can go wherever he wants.
It was a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
Or a 2-year, 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
1-year deal, so he can leave. Now, if I was him, and if the Saints still like him, I wouldn't be in too quick a hurry to bolt, because sometimes when you leave, the grass isn't greener. And I was pretty sure it was a 1-year, not with some team option or something where you had to, whatever the rules are. I thought it was one. It was like a show me year, and he was doing some good things. So somebody may take a bigger flyer and say it's worth the risk. I wish we could have seen it all, and I wonder how the Saints in the building feel about, well, do we go get Teddy, or is it worth running it back with Jameis Winston, see if we can keep him? You may want to make a run there, too, and still draft a quarterback. But there'll be a market for Jameis Winston, because we are a whole bunch of teams are in desperate situation. Even though they may have a quarterback on the roster, that quarterback on the roster may not be the guy they think they can win with.
Real quick, just for the record before you go, Taysom Hill, Ian Book, safe to say that you're not a believer that either one of those guys is the future of the organization?
It would be unfair for us to say Ian Book can't play or is not the future. I always hate that, even if a guy has a successful first year. You know what I mean, Matt? The people were killing Davis Mills 6 weeks in. And I said, gosh, you got to give the guy a chance. And now there's people that are like, well, maybe we have the future here. So Book, to me, looks like a guy who's going to be on a roster for 8 or 10 years and is a backup. That's what I feel like. But I've seen guys that are undersized and that are playmakers, because he had some magic at Notre Dame. Taysom Hill can do it. Of course he can. To me, think Taysom Hill's more valuable in other roles. And I'd like a guy that I know if I got to throw it 40 times a game. And maybe I'm wrong, but his toughness, and Taysom's now in his 30s, isn't he, Matty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got to start to, at some point, you got to start to think about, where's my pure quarterback? Listen, I love Taysom Hill. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I just would kind of I like the security of knowing he's there and can play the position, but I want that guy that I know lives at that position. Taysom Hill rents space at quarterback and lives everywhere else, and he's damn good at it. I want the guy who bought the house at quarterback. I can win with Taysom Hill. I just think there's some limitations on how I can win with Taysom Hill.
I love it. Great way to put it. Sean Salisbury, always a great part of our week, man. We appreciate you. Be well.
Love you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate coming on always.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.